Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 15, Reunion Part 2. Here on this channel we do a therapeutic review utilizing internal family systems to help us really understand and get curious about what's happening with these couples and of course, helping us to learn a little bit about ourselves. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. Be sure to like the video and of course subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into it. Of course, the episode picks right back up with Alexis and Justin as they are in the heat of, okay, who did what? Did Justin in this? Did Alexis in this? Did Alexis come to Justin's house at the end of the night? Was she trying to rekindle their relationship? What was happening? And Alexis, she denied. She said that Justin was trying to paint a picture, that she was coming over there to be intimate with him, and that was not the case. And it's hard. It's really hard because both of them, when it comes to the truth, there can be some distance, right? There could be some distance there from the truth and what actually factually happened. So it's really hard to know what happened, right? But Kevin did invite Justin's brother and Alexis' sister on the stage to get their input about what happened in this relationship. Justin's brother did not back down from his first assessment. He stated, "No, I still do not believe that my brother was ready for marriage." And we have to, or I definitely have to agree with Justin's brother. Justin has a lot of growing to do. There's some really younger parts of Justin that still need some attention from him. And it really seems that Justin did experience a lot of emotional wounding as a child, and that's why he's showing up in this way. Justin, we know, has a people pleaser part. He has a part of him that exaggerates, right? He has a part of him that really passively communicates. He has some areas of growth to work on. And Alexis' sister stated that she really just didn't feel like the two were a good fit. They weren't compatible. They were too different. Both of them stated that, and there's some truth in that too. I do feel like because Alexis has a part of her that's very intellectual, it keeps some distance from her feelings. And Justin has a part of him that is very, very emotional. And so they clash. We've been saying this for a while now. And this is leading to Alexis not feeling safe. She doesn't feel safe in this relationship. She doesn't feel covered in this relationship because she also has to come from a part of her that is maternal. And she spoke of that because Justin was showing up as a younger, part of himself. Man, Alexis really felt that she had to meet him with that maternal energy and probably even came out instinctually. And that's why it created this dynamic where, there were sometimes it felt like Alexis was, and maybe because she was drained, but it felt like she was coming from a place that wasn't always authentic when she was trying to console or to help to regulate Justin. That's the language she used. And this really led to Alexis and Justin just not having a fair shake. At the beginning, there was some chemistry there. And at the same time, Alexis is working against her not being initially attracted. And Justin being more emotional when she is diving into her intellectual self or intellectual part to protect her from her own feelings because she doesn't like being vulnerable. It just clashed. It clashed. And so then they also talk about Doggate and how that impacted the relationship. Alexis stated that she wasn't really upset about the fact that Maya bit Newton. There's a part of me that feels like, okay, I hear you. And at the same time, I do feel like she was upset about that. I do feel like maybe the bigger offense for her was that Justin wasn't upfront with her about Maya's history, that she has been aggressive to other dogs in the past. But I do feel like there is some anger there about her dog being harmed, and I don't blame her, right? I don't blame her for that. Justin's brother again did not might bite his tongue at all. He said he did not agree with Justin's decision to give Maya away. He stated that he knew that Maya was a part of Justin and that he was going to end up resenting Alexis, which it happened. It happened. It changed the dynamic. It shifted the relationship, and it put Justin in a space where he's upset with her. He's upset with her about her decision to end the marriage or to, quote unquote, stay for time instead of really truly being committed to Justin, an absolute yes. Because he made a commitment. He made a huge sacrifice. And he really didn't honor the part of him that was saying, no, I don't want to give away my dog. I don't want to do that. We need to figure out something else. Alexis' sister, on the other hand, stated that Justin giving away his dog let her know that Justin was really serious about the relationship. And yes, I do agree with her. That act didn't let Alexis know where Justin stood, and at the same time, there needed to be a compromise here. They did also talk about the fact that Justin had a tendency to be a bit more hot-headed than he let on, and it seemed to be true, right? There's a part of Justin that shut down and maybe even lashed out in anger. And that part is protecting the sadder, hurt part of Justin, and lashes out because he really struggles. He really struggles in the area of communication. It's not to excuse the behavior, just to explain it, right? We're coming from a place of learning. Justin lashing out is not okay. It is harmful. And also to understand, right? The anger is a protector. Anger is a way that we protect our softer emotions, and that is why Justin presented that way. What did irk a part of me is that Kevin kept pushing for Alexis and Justin to reconnect when they said it was over. I understand that Married at First Sight wants some wins. I do. I understand that. And at the same time, though, if they made their decision, respecting their decision is also a thing. And sometimes it can bring up a part of them that maybe wanted the relationship to work. Because I'm sure Justin has a part of him that wanted this to work, that wanted this marriage to work. And Kevin saying, hey, if Alexis was willing to say yes or to try, Justin, I know you want to make this work. It's like, it takes hard work and a lot of internal work to decide to end the relationship. It does, because parts of us are wanting it to work. Parts of us are telling us that, hey, this isn't okay. And it can be an internal battle. And so there's something that just doesn't sit well with me, especially when a couple has really come to the decision that this isn't working. It's not. And especially with Alexis and Justin, because we know there were so many parts of Alexis that were saying she wasn't interested, right? And so because of that, please, I really hope that they really think about this a little bit more, about trying to push couples back together, especially when they've decided no, and they have valid reasons. Alexis and Justin had a moment where they resolved the conflict between each other, where Alexis felt that Justin was assassinating her character and calling her dishonest. I hear it, and Justin did apologize. He did apologize for hurting her feelings. I do feel like there's space. Too for Justin to also ask for an apology about how Alexis talked about him throughout the season, and maybe she did apologize about that off camera, and they had a conversation about that. But there's some space for that too. They called the ladies onto the stage together, or should I say the sister wives, as they named themselves that in their group chat, and we get a sense that they are all connected, and we kind of had that sense throughout the season. Definitely the dynamic of the group seems to be we hold each other, right? We hold each other We have support for each other. It's like an unconditional support for each other. I don't see a lot of accountability in this circle, though. I see that they are holding each other up, but maybe they're not speaking of when they held each other accountable. Like, I don't see a lot of conversation about how Morgan treated Ben, how Alexis treated Justin. I don't see a lot of accountability in that space, but you do see like this camaraderie. We're in this together. We're sticking through this together, trauma bonding as they call it. And we're going to make it through this. We're going to make it through this experience. And I'm sure it's a lot. I have no doubt that this experience was a lot and was taxing for all of them. Alexis gave a little clarity, stating that Morgan actually came to her venting about her relationship with Ben. And because Morgan was so distraught and upset, then it pulled on her heart to tell her the things that she knew Justin was doing behind her back. She does, she said she has a part of her that blames her for the end of their marriage. And at the same time, she felt like the truth needed to be shared. She does say that she regrets how it came out and wishes she would have handled it differently. I'm grateful that she did speak to that. Kevin gave Kristen lots of credit for how she endured with Mitch and how she handled it with grace and put forth a lot of effort to make the relationship work. Lindy, she talked about how she truly admired how Kristen handled this situation. And then we learn a little bit that Stasha had a special nickname for Mitch. There are parts of me that's like, ooh, that's a really harsh nickname. I understand how it came about. I mean, it rhymes with his name. And at the same time, Mitch is still a human being. Mitch is still a human being who has feelings. And he also took a lot of accountability throughout the entire process. He didn't wait till the reunion to take accountability. He took accountability through the entire process and owned up to his mistakes. He did. And was honest with Kristen. He was honest with her. So I know a lot of people have a lot of heat for Mitch, and I understand why. I understand absolutely why, because he did some things that were very harmful, truly were harmful. And I do also have space. I think we can have accountability and grace at the same time to hold him accountable and also acknowledge his humanity. And that also means like probably not calling him out of his name maliciously. I know that was coming out of space where she was hurt. She was hurt about how Kristen was being treated. And it seems like Kristen was appreciative that Stasha was sticking up for her when it seems like maybe she didn't have access at the time to really stick up for herself until it all came to a head at Poolgate. And the girls were just happy and relieved that she came to a space where she was aware of what's really happening, was able to speak up for herself, as they were also respecting her team Mitchness, right? Wanting to make her relationship work and trying to put forth her best effort, but also she had her limit, right? And she reached her limit and she needed to speak up for herself. What I will say is the rehashing of things. And I know this is a reunion and this is a part of the reunion. And at the same time, some of the rehashing can be a bit much. Definitely Lindy was like, I do not want to see me venting, being at my lowest point and venting to my friend and just really coming from a place of anger, right? Coming from a place of anger. And it was really difficult for her to see that and witness that. The girls did say there was no time where they felt like concerned about her and Miguel's relationship, and they felt like them having this conflict was actually a good thing, like a good thing for them to work through. I feel like, yes, conflict, it is a part of the relationship. It's actually not bad. Conflict is not bad. Fights happen. And at the same time, I'm, again, of course, going to say that I wish that there was just more insight about what they were actually fighting about. There's a part of me that's like, like that was just like a missed opportunity. And I I don't know how. I mean, this is season 15. I don't see that the experts are going to really switch how they do things, but being more hands-on is definitely my recommendation. It's not like they're going to actually watch this video to get that recommendation, but I had to speak for that part of me that wants more hands-on work with these couples, especially because this is an extreme circumstance, right? So we have to do something a little different, and that's that. Also, another moment that was relived was Stasha reliving Nate being 4 out of 10 when she was more at an 8 out of 10, and her feeling, really caught off guard by that. And also, it truly shows, right, that Nate had more protectors and more protection up around his heart than Stasha. And that happens. That happens in a marriage. It's unfortunate that it happens in a married at first sight situation because it really truly complicates things. And so there's not a lot of time, right? We got 8 weeks. We have 8 weeks. So it's not a lot of time to really let those walls come down. They need to give permission for Stasha to let her in, to really let Stasha in. And 8 weeks, that's not a lot of time for a person who has gone through the things that Nate's gone through. I mean, abandonment of a mother, that's a serious thing. And Nate hasn't done the work that Stasha has done in the area of therapy and healing and connecting with his emotions. So his path is going to be slower. We've said this. There was a part of me when Alexis said, well, it was great to see their journey, and Stasha elevated Nate. I feel like there was both some elevation that happened for Stasha and Nate. Because Stasha, she had some areas of growth, right? Impatience and being more measured. There's some elevation in both areas. So I think sometimes that narrative can be misconstrued a little bit, where it seems like Nate doesn't have anything to offer. And that doesn't sit well with a part of me, just because relationships are a learning experience for both people. Both people have things to learn. And another thing that was rehashed was the month-anniversary dinner where Alexis and Justin had a moment, right? Alexis is saying, hey, I don't want to talk about it, but her body language is saying that she has something to say. That activates something in Justin to say, is everything okay? What's going on? And it creates this huge moment in front of everyone. And the girls talked about how it was really distressing for them to see. Stasha said even, made her emotional, brought her to tears a little bit, because seeing Alexis in this moment of frustration with Justin. Alexis stated that she really didn't feel safe. She really didn't feel safe to be vulnerable with Justin because she was coming from this maternal space, right? Coming from a caregiver space. There's a part of her in this caregiver part. Yes, right. It probably came out instinctually, was trying to console Justin, and at the same time, something for her to get curious about this maternal energy and where it was coming from and how it's protecting her. Because again, Alexis and vulnerability, that's something she doesn't like. It's not comfortable. And so it feels safer. It feels safer to meet Justin with maternal energy. And then the discussion comes up about, how do you guys feel about an emotional man? And I said, oh boy, here we go. So Morgan stated that, of course, she feels some way about Justin, which we understand. There's some bias there, some hurt there. So she's coming from a place of hurt, and saying that Alexis was, commendable. She really gave her all with Justin, because she couldn't do it. Stasha stated that, she has no issue with the man being present with his emotions or coming from an emotional space, but felt like Justin wasn't stable. Alexis stated that Justin's emotional nature really pulled on her attraction that was already, like, she wasn't physically attracted to Justin. And with him being emotional, that's something that, again, part of her doesn't really respect or honor, has some beliefs about crying, and Justin being a crier, that pulled on, and Wayne made her attraction wane and dwindle for him. And so that's a challenge. That is a challenge. I don't know how Alexis could say that to Justin, right? And be completely honest with him about that, because that is a lot to say to somebody. That's a lot to receive. Like, Justin, I'm not really attracted to you. And because you cry a lot, that really pulls on my attraction as well. I feel like we would then be calling Alexis Mitch, right? So it's a challenge. They were both in a situation that was difficult, Alexis and Justin. I do feel like there's a way for Alexis to be more honest with Justin, and about how she was feeling in the relationship, so he can have a better assessment of where she was, right? A better assessment of where she was to know if he needed to give Maya away or not, right? Not trying to put that decision on Alexis, just putting on Alexis to be more honest with Justin where she was. Just to say, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I really appreciate who you are. You are opening up a softer side of me, and that is great. And at the same time, I think you have some more work to do, and so do I. And so I don't think that we are a good fit. That's something for Alexis to say. And I feel like there are parts of her that felt like that throughout the experience, throughout the 8 weeks. All the guys came on the stage together, and oh my goodness, the tension between Justin and Nate was definitely a lot. And Kevin tried to navigate it, but Justin was like, yeah, we all 4 of us hang out together, and named everybody but Nate. And then silence. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Justin and Nate, round 2. Ben stated that, Justin and him resolved and the conflict that they had regarding what Alexis did in regards to their relationship and her going to Morgan. And Justin said, yeah, it wasn't malicious, but man, I was just, talking to my wife about it. And again, Justin, you did have on speakerphone, nor was it malicious. Again, I think this is just a sign of, Justin's younger self, not really knowing how to navigate conflict, right? Not knowing how to navigate conflict. That's something that is a challenge for him. And then Kevin goes on to say that he felt that if Ben and Morgan were to have been physically intimate, that their relationship would have maybe lasted a little longer because would have had some help along the way. Not saying that physical intimacy fixes things, because it doesn't. Sometimes it complicates things when there are a lot of conflict or moments of conflict. Sometimes it can be a resolve. It can be a resolve, but Ben and Morgan's situation, no, I don't think that physical intimacy could have helped that very much. Yes, Morgan was very attracted to Ben, and it seemed like Ben was open, right, for physical connection with Morgan. But from my view, I don't think that would have been enough, not for this couple. Kevin also talked about Nate's behavior during the bachelor party and how maybe some of the fellas, had some thoughts about that. And Miguel, he owned up to it, saying, yeah, I really did think that Nate was curated. And even me, I had a part of me that was questioning his authenticity. And at the same time, because he is, right, and Nate talked about it, because he's more reserved, right, that it enclosed a little bit, that the perception can be there that he's not authentic, right? He's not coming from a space of really trying to connect, and he was more focused on Stasha. And then he did a little dig at Justin, saying, I wasn't here to make friends. I was here to connect with my wife. Then they do a set of videos of Justin's tearful moments and talking about the fact that he did cry a lot, and Justin said he doesn't have shame about it. There's a part of me that questions that as well. And at the same time, I'm grateful that he does make space, right? Does make space for his tears. Mitch and Miguel, they were supportive. They're like, hey, I don't see anything wrong with that. Miguel said, I've had moments where I need to cry. And Mitch said, man, if I really embrace my tears more, I probably would be a better version of myself. And Nate, shots fired again. He said, I think it's weird. Not that much. And they're coming at each other. And Justin said, well, maybe if you were more present with your emotions, that's what your wife is asking from you and needing from you. There's a part of me that feels like Justin was really hurt by the rejection of friendship with Nate. And Nate is definitely Nate has this part of him that's responding like a little kid throwing food across the lunchroom to kind of get a rise out of Justin, that likes the rise that he's getting out of Justin, likes that he can have that reaction and that control over him. And I don't know, that's something for Nate to get curious about, of why he's enjoying that, because you see the little smirk on his face on why he's enjoying that. It's unfortunate, again, to see them acting this way and have these hard feelings towards each other. So it is. Next, the experts come out. And, they talk about how, everyone tried their best and put forth an effort. It said, of course, excluding the two that it ended earlier, and that, you really can't predict how these couples will respond, and to prepare them for this experience. Yeah, because this experience is so activating. It's such a vulnerable space. Getting married to a stranger on TV, you're exposed. Your protectors are going to be very visible. Our protectors have very extreme ways on protecting us. They do. So that's why Married at First Sight is a kind of a great tool for us to learn about internal family systems and protectors, because they're so visible. They're so present. They need to protect, right, the hurt parts that are inside of these couples. And we see that every season. They bring out Mitch and Ben, and Mitch talked about how he really, dropped the ball at the beginning of their relationship. He freaked out. He had a part of him that really freaked out and didn't handle it well. He wished he could have played it cooler. He wished he could have taken care of himself, right, in that moment, instead of lashing out. And he felt like he should have watched more seasons in order to feel more prepared for the show. That I definitely recommend it. I don't know if the experts can even make that homework. If you are applying for this show, then you need to have watched at least 2 to 3 seasons of it to know what you're getting yourself into. Because the experts telling them, hey, this is going to be really hard, that's not as different than them watching 2 seasons or 3 seasons of couples go through it. And I know part of them may say, well, I'm different. I'm not going to struggle like that. We have those parts that feel really confident, or maybe overly confident of our ability to navigate that. Shout out to Justin. And at the same time, them at least having seen couples go through this and even having their reunion moments and talking about the struggles can help better prepare. Pastor Cal definitely let his inner dad, his father-like part come out, saying that he wanted to strangle Mitch through the process because of how he was treating Kristen. And he said, yeah, I really messed up, and I have been really ostracized, bullied, treated like an outcast for most of my life, and I am different. I am odd, and I lash out. It's a way of protection, which we know, right? We've talked about. We've said this. With Ben, Pastor Cal stated that, man, you don't have any issues taking accountability. And at the same time, want you to not take away from who you are and what you bring to the table. And there was a part of me that said, where was this during the whole season? Because it really felt like Ben was internalizing everything that Morgan was saying about him. And yes, it helped him to do reflection. And at the same time, Ben is not all bad. It felt like shame. It didn't feel like accountability. It felt like I am bad. I am bad, not I did a bad thing. And that's something different. That's something different. And it would have been nice. It would have been nice for Ben to hear that in real time and to know that Dr. Pepper did ask Ben if he is working on his perfectionism. Okay, I do feel like there is definitely a part of Ben that values and feels like he needs to be perfect and projects that, and did project that onto Morgan. Yes. And at the same time, we know there were other things happening as well. Morgan not being completely honest with production about her degree, all those things that kind of made Ben unsure too about her being a nurse. Like there were so many things happening as well. And Morgan being very harsh with Ben. So it's full picture. Pastor Cal gave advice to Ben and Mitch. Give yourself permission to be received and accept it. Yes, that's affirming. I think that's affirming. That's something that they can take in. And at the same time, there are parts of them that have these beliefs about them. Ben has a part of him that has a belief about perfection and how it's needed and required for him to protect himself from shame. Mitch has a part of him that has some beliefs about him not being accepted and him not being accepted by others, and that he won't ever be accepted by others. And that is a part of him that needs some attention. Advice, that affirming language is awesome. It's great for them to receive and hear. And those parts of them are probably going to have a inner dialogue with that advice that Pastor Cal was giving. And at the same time, those parts still need attention. They need attention. They need space for Ben and Mitch to be present with those parts of them so that they can release those beliefs that they have and take in and receive what Pastor Cal was trying to say. Kristen and Morgan came out and they talked about what they learned. Kristen stated that she learned that putting off conflict, trying to delay conflict, just creates more conflict. Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. There was a part of her that was trying to avoid the conflict. And man, our protectors, usually what they do is they have really great intention. They have honorable intention. And at the same time, they usually create the situation that they're trying to avoid. And so avoiding conflict, working around the issue is going to cause a huge later on, which we now refer to as Poolgate. Morgan stated that she felt like she needed to not be so reactive, right? Need to not be so reactive and lean into her emotions, that she needed to come from a place that was more logical. Here's what I will say to that. I believe there's some truth to that. Sometimes, though, our logical mind feels like, again, emotions are bad or they are something that need to be shut down. And really, emotional mind and logical mind, this is coming from a space that's not really internal family systems. It's more dialectical behavioral therapy, which is another type of therapy. But emotional mind and logical mind actually are partners and need to work together. And so if Morgan can embrace both and use both, listen to what they both have to say to help her to navigate her emotions and her logic better. Because coming from a logical space, we see what happens. Shout out to Alexis and Nate, right? We see what happens. So having a space where you can trust yourself to feel and also embrace what your logical part is communicating to you. That is what dialectical behavioral therapy calls using your wise mind. listening to both your rational mind and your emotional mind. The experts asked about Mitch and Kristen being so friendly and amicable about their ending of their marriage, and it was so much confusion. I really feel like those were some parts, right, that were coming up. Kristen had a part of her that really cared for Mitch. And that had to be there for her to really give her full effort. And at the same time, she had a part of her that knew this was not going to work. And she had to listen to that part too. And again, so this is where, again, I feel like them saying, come on, guys, you can make this work, right? No. Mitch has lots of work to do in order to really be ready for a relationship. Kristen had some work to do as well, but I'm not with the narrative that you have to be completely healed in order to be in a relationship, because relationships are part of the process of how you learn where you have some areas to grow. And at the same time, Mitch has a lot of work to do in building his relationship with himself first. That's the first relationship that needs the work. Morgan was asked if she felt like she needed to give Ben more grace. She disagreed. She disagreed that because Ben repeatedly went to Justin throughout their marriage, went behind her back, that no, she didn't feel like she needed to give him more grace. That's her truth. I don't want to take that away from her. Again, I do feel like there's space. There's space for accountability and grace. There's space for both. And maybe there's a part of her that just doesn't have access to that yet, and that's also okay, because she's on her journey, right, too. So Alexis and Justin came out, and man, oh man, the experts and Kevin really want this couple to get back together. Alexis stated that she didn't feel like they were compatible, and Dr. Pepper said, tell me more about that. And Alexis, she did. She said, man, the emotions were a lot for me, and I wasn't, initially attracted to Justin, so it was a lot. And I was coming from a maternal space. I couldn't be my natural jokey self. And Justin said, hey, now let's give context. I didn't say you couldn't joke. I just said I didn't want you to roast me on national television. And Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal said, that sounds legit. And that there is a natural transition and change that happens in marriage. There is. That does happen. And at the same time, there is a core, right? You do say core to yourself. Alexis felt like this relationship was changing her, not for the better, though. And that was something that she stood her ground on. Pastor Cal stated that they quit on their marriage, that they didn't give the marriage enough time to get to the better. I feel like they didn't have the key ingredients to put in the work to make it get to the better. And that's different, right? They didn't have that, so that work couldn't happen. And I don't know what Pastor Cal saw or Dr. Pepper saw, but from my view, they didn't have those ingredients to get to the better. Kevin asked Justin why he didn't fight for the marriage when Alexis was apologizing at the end of decision day, that she did respond in that way, and that she did, quit and end the marriage in such a impulsive way. And Justin said, I wasn't honest about how I felt about giving Maya away, and that really questioned my commitment to this marriage. And so, yeah, I didn't have the fight. And that's honest. Dr. Pepper stated that she felt like Alexis wanted an alpha male, and Justin was not that. And Pastor Kyle stated that he felt that their emotions, their explosive, combustible way, not knowing how to navigate conflict, really put a damage as well on their marriage. And as they were exiting, Kevin asked, do you feel like they still have it? Do you feel like they could reconcile and try to make this work? He didn't ask me, but I would say no. But Dr. Pepper stated that he would have to put forth a valid effort to prove that he could be Alexis' protector. I don't feel like Justin's there at this time. He still has some growing to do, some work to do. He has a lot to learn about himself, and he's not at a space right now to prove himself as a protector for Alexis. And Alexis also, I believe, is fatigued with this relationship and doesn't want to continue to move forward. The whole cast comes back on and they talk about and rehash more things. Shirtgate, and how that was something that really confused everyone. Miguel gave Mitch a little grace and said, hey, I kind of felt like something was going on too, and also stated that he felt like Mitch overreacted. And Mitch owned up to that. Kevin did bring out the irony that Mitch had an issue with someone trying to change his appearance, and he had things to say about Kristen's appearance and was trying to change or influence her appearance. Mitch said, I hear your connection, and he said it felt like it was different because things were purchased and told to wear this. He didn't say, here's some earthy clothes or some other clothes I would like for you to wear. Here's some sandals that I would like for you to wear this. He wasn't doing it in that way. The impact of that is you feel like how I look is supposed to be for you, and especially with the initial honeymoon gate situation, it was harmful. It was extremely harmful. So I hear you, Mitch. You feel like it's a difference, but man, I could see why Kristen felt, and even why Kevin brought it up, because there is some irony there. There is some irony there, and it's something for him to get curious about, of course. I don't know what this is about Kevin with Alexis and Justin, but he asked the cast if they should have fought harder for their marriage. The cast said no. They put in the work. They tried to make it happen, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And Morgan said something that was great, and that's okay. And that's okay. I think sometimes we do get emotionally invested in these couples. We do. We do. And at the same time, we have to see that things are not gelling, that they are not working, and accept it. Kevin, it's okay. Accept that this relationship didn't work. It's okay. With Morgan and Ben, Morgan stated that she felt like she overreacted with Ben, and that Ben said he agreed with Lindy that he was not ready. He was not ready for marriage at all. And they both understood why the girls had Morgan's back, right? And that the fellas had Ben's back. They understood why that dynamic was playing out. They did have some conversation about Justin and Alexis' role in the end of their marriage. And at the same time, Ben said, hey, Justin and Alexis wouldn't have anything to talk about if I didn't go behind Morgan's back. I hear ya. And there's a part of me that said, Morgan also went to Alexis to talk to her about their marriage, right? So, I don't know. Either way, it's done, and they're both free, and they both learned some things, and they can both hopefully grow from them. There was more rehashing about Stasha being concerned about Lindy consummating after she said she needed some more time. There was more rehashing about consummation gate between Alexis and Justin and when it happened. There was more rehashing about their relationship, and which caused Nate and Justin to go at it again. Just really uncomfortable things. They did do some funny reels at the end of it about the fun that they had as well through the process. I have to speak for the part of me that is grateful that this season is over. I'm excited about some other content that I've been working on, but just haven't had time to do because This content takes a lot of time to do with the show being so long and everything, and me wanting to make sure I'm coming from a center place with really truly coming from a place of giving educational information, not being too reactive, right? But really also holding accountable and giving grace to these couples. So I'm grateful for the end of this. I'm really excited about some other content that I have coming out. If you are also interested, I do have a podcast that's available on streaming services called At the End of the Day Podcast. We talk about some mental health topics and everyday life stuff. So definitely, if you're interested in that, check that out. Let me know how you feel about these couples, what they have gone through and experienced. We see that the next episode, which I will not be reviewing, that Stasha and Nate are having a separation. And so that happens. And so we'll see what comes from that. If you have stuck around this long, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.